Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 14, the three modes of material nature. In chapter 14, Krishna introduces a very interesting model known as the three modes of material nature. He has touched upon this subject previously, but in this chapter, he's going to explain the intricacies. He's going to go into details. And we have also quite a few times mentioned this in our podcasts, that this material world is controlled by three gunas. Everything that is present within this material creation is falling under one of the three gunas, or we can say one of these three departments: mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. So these three qualities or modes permeate everything we see, hear, taste, touch, and smell. Our lifestyle, attitude, and behaviors also fall under these three modes. Through closer analysis, we can perceive how people are functioning in this world with a mistaken belief of free will, where they think they are making the choices, they are choosing. But in actuality, they are impelled to act according to these different modes that are controlling them. You can call it conditionings, your nature, personality, which you get because of the choices that you have made in the past. So everything that we speak, think, do, everything falls under one of the three gunas, and whatever we do and whichever guna is associated with that particular action conditions us. We become like that because there are qualities associated with each of the three modes, which Krishna will explain in detail. Therefore, unless one is able to transcend these modes of nature, they have to act perpetually trapped in this material world. So let us just get into the introductory speech that Krishna gives about the three modes as he begins this chapter. Text 1. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Param Bhuyah Pravakshyami Jnananam Jnanam Uttamam Yaj Gyatva Munayah Sarve Param Siddhim Ito Gataha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Again I shall declare to you this supreme wisdom, the best of all knowledge, knowing which all the sages have attained the supreme perfection." Krishna is going to get deeper and deeper into different aspects of his creation, one after the other, as he's explaining. And each chapter therefore is better than the previous one, and the best one we find the last one, and the best instruction comes in the end, the last instruction. And by understanding the last instruction, we can understand this is the most important. What is the conclusion? That is always given in the end. So we shall hear about the conclusion of the Gita towards the end of 18th chapter. But before that, we have quite a few things to discuss. So Krishna says this knowledge is very, very special, because many sages, after acquiring this knowledge, have attained the supreme perfection of life. They have become free from the bondage and been able to transcend the cycle of birth and death and attain the spiritual kingdom, their original home. Text 2. Idam jnanam upashritya mama sadhurmyam agataha sargepi nopajayante pralayena vyathanti. By becoming fixed in this knowledge, one can attain to the transcendental nature like my own. Thus established, one is not born at the time of creation or disturbed at the time of dissolution. That means one becomes free from the cycle of birth and death. The cycle of transmigration of the soul stops. The person gets liberated simply by understanding this knowledge and applying it in his life. So it's a very special benediction that this chapter offers. And what is this knowledge? Krishna is going to now explain, which is not easily understood. People with the greatest minds have been trying to figure out, but they have only come to a wrong conclusion, some speculation. Third, Mama yonir mahad brahma tasmin garbham dadhamyaham sambhavah sarva bhutanam tato bhavati bharata. The total material nature called Brahman is the source of birth, and it is that Brahman that I impregnate, making possible the births of all living beings, O son of Bharata. So this whole total material creation is sometimes also referred to as Brahman, but it is matter, and it is the Supreme Lord Krishna, as he's saying here, who puts the living entities in this material creation. They are made possible by birth. Krishna gives them the birth. Ultimately, he is the cause behind the living entities taking birth in this material creation according to their desires, because matter cannot give birth to spirit. It is the other way around. The spirit makes the matter active. Just like our body is matter, but it has no existence without the presence of the soul. Now Krishna says, text number 4, Sarva yonishu kanteya murtayah sambhavantiyaha tasham brahma mahadyonir aham bija praduhpita. That he reiterates the fact that he is the one who is giving birth to living entities, and he's the cause behind the birth. It should be understood that all species of life, he is not just referring to human beings. Sometimes we think, oh, we are children of God. Every living being is a child of God. Therefore, hurting any living entity, not just humans, will going to get us huge karmic reaction. Is going to get us huge reaction. So sometimes we think, oh, we don't hurt anybody. We are so good to everyone. Why is this happening to me? Okay, your definition of being good could just be limited to human beings. What about other living entities you might be giving pain to? What are we eating to satisfy our taste buds? Where is our compassion gone? They are also, sometimes people kill innocent animals to satisfy their taste buds. And then they say, but we don't hurt anybody. So, because they think only hurting a human being is violence. Any living entity that we destroy or we become supportive in destruction of any life form, we have to share equal amount of karma. Let's be very sure about it. And then in future, distress is bound to come. Here Krishna is clearly saying, Sarva yonishu kantya, all species of life. He says it should be understood that all species of life, O son of Kumti, are made possible by birth in this material nature, and that I am the seed-giving father. If the nature is compared to mother, then Krishna is the father who sends living entities into the womb of material nature. And what is this material nature all about? Now he's going to explain the intricacies of this material nature. What is this consisting of? What is this material nature all about? Composition. Text 5. Sattvam rajastama iti gunaha prakriti sambhavaha nibadhananti mahabaho dehe dehinam avyayam. Material nature consists of three modes: goodness, passion and ignorance. And when the soul, which belongs to the spiritual world, soul means you and I, when we fall from the spiritual world to this material world, why do we fall? When the soul decides to live a life independent of God, the soul has to fall down from the spiritual world to material world to satisfy its material desire. Any desire separate from God is material desire, and to fulfill that material world the soul has to come. And this material world is predominated by three departments, three gunas: goodness, passion and ignorance. Everything in this material world is under the jurisdiction of one of these three gunas. So depending on the choices the soul makes, oh, I want to eat this food, I want to listen to this kind of music, I want to have this kind of body, I want to live in this place, or I want to engage in this type of action. So depending on which department, which guna that action comes under, that particular guna catches the soul, and as the soul continues to make more and more choices, it gets conditioned by the particular guna. And that's how we are born with a particular nature in life, inclinations, like, dislikes, etc. So material nature consists of three modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. When the eternal living entity comes in contact with nature, O mighty armed Arjuna, he becomes conditioned by these modes. Now Krishna is going to explain the qualities associated with these three modes. What happens if somebody is conditioned by goodness, passion, and ignorance, and how can we make out in one sense, and how can we remain careful? Because every time we make a choice, we are associating with a particular guna, and we are getting conditioned by that particular guna. So we have to be careful to associate with a specific guna, and that is possible if we know what are the qualities associated with that guna, what are the results. So that's what Krishna is explaining here. Text number 6. Tatra sattvam nirmalatvat prakashakam anamayam sukha sangena badhnati jnana sangena chanagha. O sinless one, the mode of goodness, Krishna is telling Arjuna, you don't worry, you are sinless, so you are not conditioned. He is assuring him. He says, O sinless one, the mode of goodness. Now we have to listen to this very carefully. And later on Krishna will also explain in chapter 17-18 what are the things which fall under goodness, passion and ignorance, so that we can be careful about which guna we are associating with. Because depending on which guna we associate with, we are given the next body, next destination, next family, next place, liberation or bondage, all depends on that. So the mode of goodness, being purer than the others, is illuminating, and it frees one from all sinful reactions. So when somebody is mode of goodness, he has more knowledge, more enlightenment, and a person does not engage in sinful activities, and he engages in good work and maybe in activities which can help him purify him from the past sinful reactions. So he's very careful about what is good, what is bad, right and wrong, and he is not willing or does not engage in wrong actions. But the problem with this mode is those situated in that mode become conditioned by a sense of happiness and knowledge. What do you mean by conditioned by sense of happiness and knowledge? They think that this happiness and knowledge, whatever they are experiencing in mode of goodness, in doing good, being good type people, that is all in all, and that could also lead to some sort of subtle false pride. Oh, I do this good work, and therefore I am just being good to others, doing good, being good, that is the perfection of life. That also becomes conditioning, and then they don't want to take the next step towards a platform which is beyond the three gunas, because after all, whether you are in mode of goodness or passion or ignorance, these three gunas are material, they are in the material world, and even if we are associating with the mode of goodness, we still stay stuck in the material world, and the cycle of birth and death continues. That's all. You might just get a better life, but still the bondage continues, and again the soul has to keep on traveling within the material creation. There is no liberation. What about mode of passion? Text 7. Rajo ragatmakam vidhi trishna sanga samudbhavam tannibdhanati kaunteya karma sangena dehinam. The mode of passion is born of unlimited desires and longings. Somebody who has mode of passion, unlimited desires and longings, hankerings, never satisfied, one thing after the other, too many desires. O son of Kunti. And because of this, the embodied living entity is bound to material fruitive actions. So a person who is conditioned by a mode of passion, he's many desires. He's not peaceful like the one in mode of goodness. He's not satisfied, but he's always hankering for some result, and therefore there is anxiety. He does one thing and then he's expecting some results in return. So always working to get something, to get some fruit out of his action. That is mode of passion. Somebody who's in the mode of passion. And somebody who's in the mode of ignorance, what are his qualities? Tamastva ajnanajam vidhi mohanam sarvadehinam pramaladasya nidrabhis tannibdhanati bharata. O son of Bharata, know that the mode of darkness, born of ignorance, is the delusion of all embodied living entities. The results of this mode are madness, indolence and sleep, which bind the conditioned soul. A person is lazy and can easily harm others without even seeing an issue in his actions. Madness, sleep, is also known as the mode of darkness or ignorance. This is the worst. So, Krishna summarizes text 9, Sattvam sukhe sanjayati rajah karmani bharata jnanam avritya tu tamaha pramade sanjayati yuta. O son of Bharata, the mode of goodness conditions one to happiness, passion conditions one to fruitive action, and ignorance covering one's knowledge binds one to madness. These are the three gunas which have been now nicely introduced by Krishna. And he says that there is always a competition going on. So you might wonder, you might start thinking about people in your own family, friend circle. Is in mode of goodness, passion, ignorance? Which one? So please understand, each individual is mostly a combination of at least two modes, and between these two modes, one is more prominent, the other one is slightly less prominent. So text 10, Krishna says, Rajas tamas chavi bhuya sattvam bhavati bharata rajah sattvam tamas chaiva tamah sattvam rajas tatha. Sometimes the mode of goodness becomes manifest, defeating the mode of passion and ignorance, O son of Bharata. Sometimes the mode of passion defeats good and ignorance, and at other times ignorance defeats goodness and passion. In this way there is always competition for supremacy, and we see that in our own selves also. Sometimes we are very peaceful, loving, sometimes we are very stressed out and very, you can say, irritable. Sometimes we go mad, we go crazy, we go insane. So there's always a competition, as if the three modes are fighting to gain supremacy over each other. So depending on what kind of association we keep, and depending on whatever actions we are prompted to a particular mode, or depending on whatever place we are in, a particular mode becomes active. Suppose you are in temple, so naturally your mode of goodness is enhanced. If you are in a place like a stock market, mode of passion is enhanced. If you are in a pub, mode of ignorance will be enhanced. So the place of action also adds to your particular mode. So as I said, everything that we think, speak and do, everything within this material world is under one of the three gunas. Depending on which one we are associating with, that becomes most active and most heavy on us. And depending on then whatever choices we keep making, we get more and more conditioned by the three gunas. We develop a very strong conditioned nature. Now further on the modes of goodness, passion, ignorance, text 11. What happens when, how do we understand that somebody has been blessed with mode of goodness, passion or ignorance? Krishna says in 11, 12 and 13, I'll read all these together. Sarvadvareshu dehe asmin prakasha upajayate jnanam yada tada vidyad vivriddham sattam iti uta lobha pravrittir arambah karmanam asamaha spriha rajasi etani jayante vivriddhi bharatarashabha aprakasho pravrittischa pramado moha evacha tamasi etani jayante vivriddhe kuru nandana. He says, the manifestation of the mode of goodness can be experienced when all the gates of the body are illuminated by knowledge. When somebody knows what is good, what is bad, what is right, wrong, he is able to discriminate and being satisfied in himself. There is knowledge. O chief of the Bharatas, when there is increase in the mode of passion, the symptoms of great attachment, fruitive activity, intense endeavor, and uncontrollable desire and hankering develop. We have already discussed this. And when there is increase in the mode of ignorance, O son of Kuru, darkness, inertia, madness and illusion are manifested. Why is it important to know about all this? Because depending on whichever guna we are strongly conditioned by, we will get another body, next body, out of 8.4 million species of life. It is not like once a human being, always a human being. That is a fantasy world people are living in. Depending on our actions, we'll be given a suitable body. So Krishna continues to explain the nature of these three modes, and next he'll explain what happens when somebody dies in the mode of goodness, passion, ignorance, and then he continues describing various aspects influenced by three gunas and what is the result. We shall continue discussing in the next podcast. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.